As the December polls close in, the cloud of mistrust against them thickens. The EC is fending off public calls for an external review of the voter register, the single most important document which will determine the leadership of this country after January 6, 2025. In a more than a half-dozen-paged response to the NDC, and by extension, the people of Ghana, the Elections Management Body explained why that will not happen. On Hot Issues today, we explore if their response should end the debate, or perhaps the Commission has something to hide. I am Kamini Amano, and in this edition, I sit with the Deputy Chairperson of the Electoral Commission of Ghana in charge of corporate services, Dr. Eric Bosman Asari. Doc, you're welcome to Hot Issues.
Thank you. Thank you. It's been a while.
Indeed, it has. On the subject of the credibility of the voter register, the Electoral Commission has responded to the NDC, insisting that there is no need for a forensic, audit of the register. Why so?
We've maintained that all along, largely because the CI we are using for registration, which is CI 91 as amended by CI 126. When you look at regulations 23 and regulations 24, both two regulations provide a proper framework for auditing the voters register. And those processes have not been exhausted. So as a commission, we know that it is what the law allows. So we need to use that to be able to ensure that we have a register that is clean, that is robust, that is credible for the 2024 general election. We use that same procedure or that same approach to be able to clean the register in 2020. So we are not doing something which is so strange or something which has not been done before. Because when you look at the two regulations, 23, 24, they spell out what you do after registration. The law is very clear that after you have registered people, you have to display the register. Because when you do registration, you are gathering raw data from the field. So, but the exhibition is a process of cleaning. So the law allows that, assuming somebody indicated that I wanted to vote at this place, and my name did not appear in that particular place, that person should be put in that particular polling station. Assuming somebody's name, somebody who registered, but still the name did not appear, the law allows for what is called inclusion. And there may be some who may not be qualified, but they were able to register. The law allows those people's names to be objected from the register. So what the Commission has maintained, which we have not departed from, is that the register is a solid document. It's very, very credible. It's very, very authentic. The register is a good one, but the auditing is being done through the exhibition process. And this is something that the law has provided for.
And we'll go into the nitty-gritties of that. But your response to the NDC is coming 9 days after, they officially petitioned you at your offices here in the Greater Accra region and indeed across the country. Why did it take you so long to respond?
The time they were having, they had the peaceful demonstration, we had just finished our nomination exercise. And when you do the nominations, you go through a lot of processes. You have to review the documents, all those the candidates brought, the presidential as well as even the parliamentary at the constituency level. So all these were activities being undertaken by the Electoral Commission. And we had to announce that some people had qualified to proceed to the next stage, which is becoming candidates for president, and others were equally not successful or they were disqualified. So as a commission, we've been doing a lot of things. So I think that even within these 9 days, we've done well to be able to put these comprehensive responses together, which I think that anyone who reads it will realize that this is a commission that really means good for the people of this country and for the advancement of our electoral democracy.
I see, but so if the commission had a lot to do, would it then be the case that you didn't have time to go through the NDC's petition? Reason your position has not changed
No, when you look at NDC's petition and the responses we have provided, we've looked at each item. So all the responses have been provided. And there's the reason why I was making the point that anyone who reads, if you have read the petition by the NDC and you read the responses proffered by the commission, you realize that everything has been tackled. And
Indeed.
I believe that...
The point I'm making is that when I read, and I have read your response to the NDC, it would appear that you have just regurgitated in print what you read during your news conference in response to their original demands from you.
I think this is completely different, largely because this one we've gone into some specifics.
Okay. And
some of the legal provisions in our CI. So we've gone into specific. Well, they had some items that were listed. For example, they were talking about using the provisional register for the nomination process, which we've responded based on what the law says. So I think that the Commission has done a very decent job.
Indeed. And so, and that's why I want us to look at some of the issues that have been raised here. First, you start off that, the law makes provision for a process for the register to be cleaned,
yes.
which is the exhibition process. Yes. But it is the same process that the NDC has raised questions about, because they do not think that the exhibition process is bringing out the issues that they have identified, the issues that they think need attention. And so the question they're asking is, what are you hiding?
No, Kevin, we are not hiding anything. The reality is this. When you look at voter registration, when you register people, for those who do research, you are going to the field to gather raw data. So when you gather this information, what you do is, with the exhibition, is now to situate that these people are going to vote in this particular polling station based on what they indicated. So what the Electoral Commission has been saying all along is that when you look at the exhibition, it says display the voters register so that people will come and check their names. So even before the exhibition, we ran a lot of commercials, and we're saying that don't assume that the fact that you have registered, it means your name is in the voters register. Because the law provides that after the registration, all the names must be exhibited publicly at all the exhibition centers or the polling stations where people indicated during the registration that they will be voting at. So the exhibition is part of the registration process. So what the Electoral Commission is saying is that until you finish that process, you will not be able to have a register that is very, very credible, that is very, very accurate. And the Commission has maintained that per the exhibition, we are expecting to receive certain outcomes. And those are some of the outcomes the NDC identified.
Like which one?
For example, they said they noticed that some names were missing, about 3,957. They mentioned that. They also indicated that some people have been transferred illegally to certain places. Apart from that, we had many Ghanaians who also went to the polling stations where, as far as they were concerned, they were supposed to vote in that particular place, but their names were not there. So all these were things the Commission was expecting. So as I speak to you now, I can say on authority that all the problems that were identified by the NDC and the Ghanaians, almost about 4 million Ghanaians who went to the exhibition centers to go and check their names, all of them have been resolved. Because that's the essence of the exhibition.
So yes, my follow-up on that. Could the exhibition have identified the fact that over 240,000 voters who transferred their votes in 2020 had been added to the 2024 transfer list?
No, the reason why we give the register to the parties, that we give to them...
No, that's not what I'm asking. I'm asking, could the exhibition exercise have identified such a problem?
Yes, because before the NDC even brought their concerns, we had a meeting with them. In some of the constituencies or the district, they had identified that the number of transferred voters they had were more than what they were expecting. And that's what the exhibition does. So when you look at it, that's why we've maintained our responses.
So before the NDC came forward with this, the Electoral Commission already knew?
No, that information came to us.
No, you already knew that, some 240,000 voters who had transferred their vote in 2020 had been added to the 2024 list again.
And we said before we met the NDC and they started complaining, we had picked the information from one of the districts. Because, every district has the number of people who transferred in each particular year.
Okay.
And in this instance, we did the transfers in 2020, 2023, and 2024. So I remember one of the districts called that they were expecting about 2,000 something, but they ended up with about 4,000.
And this is your own officer calling?
No, our officers complain, and the NDC has a national office, national reps who make some of these demands. Apart from that, the parties also have people at the regional and the district level. So usually what happens is that when they identify a problem, although the register is a national document, we also have registers for each district. And in the general election, we have registers for each constituency. So the register for each particular constituency or each particular district, what happens is that the parties, they also have copies. And what the EC does is that we have the list of all people who are registered in the particular district. Our officers we have the forms we use, forms 1A and form 1C, which have the names of all the people who are registered in that particular place. So anytime you send a register to that particular district and there is any discrepancy, our officers will identify them and they will let you know that in our district we are supposed to have 80,280 people on our register.
Okay.
But what you have given to us is less than that. So then they will do a matching.
Okay. So how many of such cases were identified by your officers? No,
I wouldn't be able to put an exact number, but what I know is that almost every district we had
something of that nature.
That's the essence of the exhibition. Oh. We display the register, we identify all the problems, and the law provides that when you go through all these processes, then you get to the point of printing a final register, which you would then use for the elections.
Okay. Doc, educate me if I'm wrong. The exhibition exercise is for the public to go and see their details.
To go and check their details.
So at what point were your officers also checking to come up with the information that they shared with you?
No, once we started the exhibition, our officers also got to work. They had to work. Because in our presentation, you realize that we have what we call the register viewer. The register viewer, each district is able to look at the number of people who are registered in that particular district. They have all their details. So once there is any discrepancy, they are able to identify. So we've been saying that we've been using this four-pronged approach to be able to ensure that we have a very credible register. Number one is that you have the registered voter who will go to the exhibition center to go and check whether their details are intact. Apart from that, you also have the exhibition officer. We display the registers at almost 40,653 or so polling stations or exhibition centers. So the onus was also on each exhibition officer to ensure that the names that were supposed to vote in that particular place, all of them are intact. Apart from that, our district officers who also did the registration, or they are now in charge of the districts, they had the responsibility of ensuring that the total number of people who are registered voters in the districts, they are the same numbers they have. So once there is anyone who is missing, then they have to check the source documents that were used.
I see. So then what you're telling us is that the exhibition exercise was not only for voters who are on the register to go and check and correct their details, but your own officers were also comparing.
The law allows that. Yes. So if even you were a voter and you don't go there to go and check, our officers are getting to work on it because the law has made provisions for that.
I see. So then it brings me back to the point. You mentioned one district where you were expecting 2,000, you had 4,000. How many of such districts had you identified in the course of the exercise?
On the basis of the petition by the NDC. The NDC mentioned that they've noticed about 243,000 illegal transfers. Yes. And the commission has maintained that those were not illegal. But what happened was that in generating the data, we inadvertently added 2020 transfers as well as 2023 transfers to that of the 2024. So they are not illegal transfers. Okay. They are genuine transfers, but we added 2020, 2023. But we have since corrected. So when we are giving final...
So how come that was added? Have you identified where the problem came from?
No, when the software was... this is how the system works. When we did the 2020 registration, we also did 2023 registration. Automatically, the numbers will add up Is that not so? 2024. So in 2020, we registered almost 17,027,000. And in 2023, we did almost 910,000. So it will automatically add. So during that generation process, the system added everything. So transfers 2020, 2023, 2024. And we have what we call absentee list. 2020, 2023, 2024. So for anyone who understands our process, you realize that these are not something somebody will do and you claim that, oh, the person has deliberately done it to influence the outcome. Because those are legitimate transfers that were done. But unfortunately or inadvertently, the commission added them to that of 2024.
So the 2,094 voters who transferred their votes in 2024, but their names were missing on the absentee list have been added.
All of them, we've addressed them.
You fixed that.
We've fixed them.
If you have fixed all the problems, what evidence are you asking for from the NDC again?
So let me come in. This is what the commission is saying. For you to be doubly sure that your concerns have been addressed, come to the discussion table, bring your issue. Because when we had the meeting with the NDC, they showed us one of the missing names. Instantly, our IT boss, who was in that particular meeting, showed them that, oh, this person you are saying is missing from the register. The person is actually in the register. And beyond that, we can provide the evidence. But when we finish with the exhibition, what we do is that we have a process where those whose names have been objected to, those whose names are supposed to be removed from the register, we go through a legal process where we have somebody we call District Registration Review Officer, who is normally an officer of the court, usually a district magistrate, a court official. So what they do is that we go through that process, and those processes are about to be completed. So until we finish that process, we can't say we are giving you. But the commission is ready to meet all the political parties, the MPP, the NDC, all of them at the discussion table to explain to you everything. So we know all the concepts, because the essence of the exhibition is to correct discrepancies, and we have done that.
And you have done that. When we come back, we'll put that to the test a bit more. You're watching Hot Issues. I'll be right back.
How can we solve the unemployment crisis in Ghana? Yes, Massa.
By using formula 133.
Can you expatiate?
Say, this simply means 1 job, 3 shifts, 3 people. That is the Mahama 24-hour economy policy. Under this policy, businesses will be given tax incentives, cheaper electricity, financial support, and security support services to encourage them to work 24/7 by adopting 3 work shifts of 8 hours each. This will triple job opportunities in the country. This policy will boost production, increase productivity, and generate well-paying jobs in all participating businesses and public organizations.
Excellent. The 24-hour policy will be a game changer.
Vote for change. Vote for John Mahama and the NDC.
My guest is Deputy Chairperson of the Electoral Commission, Dr. Bosman Asare. Doc, again, thank you so much for sitting with us. Just a bit more on this exhibition exercise and how you say will clean the exercise. We also know that one of the outcomes of the exhibition exercise is also to rid the register of deceased people. The NDC had posted a very large number of deceased people on the list, and I want to find out from you, have you cleared that as well?
No, I think this one, I don't know how to even put it, but let's be very clear. When you talk about the voters register, every year in Ghana we know people die, and in Ghana I think that we are looking at, is it the mortality rate is almost 7.6 out of every 1,000 people die every year. So when you look at the data, every year some people die in our country. But the exhibition has provided an avenue for deceased persons to be removed. So once people don't go to the exhibition centers to go and inform the exhibition officer that my family member has died, and this is the evidence. This is the death certificate. This is the obituary notice. This is evidence that the person is dead. There is no way, because if we are not very careful, I remember in 2019, we had an instance, or was it 2018, when we did the exhibition, some people went to remove someone's name, insisting that the person was dead, not knowing the person was alive. So the law has provided a mechanism to do that. So when you look at it critically, every year you may have a certain number of Ghanaians who are registered voters.
Right, so I mean, so what's the mechanism that the law has created to be able to read the register of?
The law is very clear. It says that once somewhere a family member has died, go to the exhibition center with the death certificate of that person, the obituary notice, as well as the person's voter ID card. So those who did that, their names have been removed.
But those who didn't
will
continue to be on the list.
And they will continue to be on there because we don't know, we don't have that information. And it's possible in every family house in Ghana, there could be 1 or 2 people who are gone and their names are on the voters register. But the Electoral Commission cannot say, oh, we think this person is dead, so we are going to remove the name. So the Electoral Commission will require information from the public and they must come with evidence. Because if we don't do that, we may end up having people removing the names of others. So you go through a process. You go through a process, you must submit evidence of death.
Which means that, you know, at some point we should have a more robust way of determining that.
Yes.
I see.
And it's one of the things the Commission was doing with the new CI, to work closely with the birth and death registry, to ensure that we could engage them and have a way of removing the dead instantly. But under the current system and the CI 91 as amended by CI 126, what the law provides is that individuals must bring evidence. The death certificate, the obituary notice, all these things must be brought to the attention of the exhibition officer. From that on, the process of removing the name will be triggered.
I see. Dr. Bosman, would you agree with me that the patronage of the exhibition exercise was underwhelming?
Historically, exhibition patronage has been like that.
No, but this year. I want us to focus on this year.
This year is not unique. Since I've been at the Electoral Commission, this year we did almost 29 point something %, which is one of the highest.
But it's still underwhelming,
no,
isn't it?
It's something that Ghanaians in general, the thinking is that once I register, I know my name is there. So it's one of the things all of us, media players, all of us must be involved.
Right.
The Electoral Commission we do, but the onus is on individuals to go and check. And I also think it's because historically people have believed that once you register, about 99.9% of the time,
your name will be
there. But it's something we need to move beyond that and still encourage people to go and check.
So this is where I'm going with that. If we both admit that the exercise was underwhelming, then we can say also that a chunk of the cleaning has been based on what your officers report to you, based on we have so and so number, and now we have more than such a number on the register. So when officers don't report that back to you, then it means that the register for that district or that polling center remains bloated.
In terms of, as for bloating, I wouldn't talk about bloating. Because when you talk about bloating of a voters register, then maybe you are saying maybe some 20% of the people are not supposed to be there. But what we do is that our officers work under operational instructions. So the commission would demand that check. Because you have the details, and that's what you do for living. And
but in the district that you mentioned, it was more than 20%. You said there was supposed to be 2,000, and then when the register came,
that one was more about the transfer, which is not so much about the job of the district. The generation was done at the head office.
I absolutely understand. What I'm saying is that the difference would have to be reported by your officers. In the event, for whatever reason, your officers are not able to report back that difference to you, then that anomaly remains on the register and will be used whichever way it is intended for.
Okay, let me put it in this perspective. For the issue we talked about, that 2,000 and it ended up being about 4,000, that one is not only the preserve of the district. That one is mainly more about the national office. But what the district officers do is that you have the register for your district. So, and you have what we call the source documents, which is the Form 1A. And you have all those. So you have them in a pile like this. So what you do is that your job is to cross-check. And you know, at the district level, we have the district officers. There are some who work under the district officers. Beyond the district office too, we have the regional director. And you know, when we did the registration, you gave us this particular information that I registered this number. And in our registration too, we have what we call start of day report and end of day report. So we know the numbers you registered every day. We should give you this particular number. So the numbers that have been submitted to you from the headquarters, if there is any discrepancy, it is your job as a district officer to bring it to the attention of the commission.
Which is why I'm saying if that job is not done, then it means the anomaly will remain on the register without your knowledge at the head office.
But from our experience, all our district officers are very good when it comes to that. And because you are not the only one who knows what the problem there, because you've already given, you know, our processes are so transparent that the numbers the political parties also know.
But it was also an electoral officer who engaged in that, illegal act in Pusiga. It was also an electoral officer. So we cannot assume that all the officers are honest and they will report back to you at the head office that so and so anomaly has gone on.
You know, generally, this is what happens. The officers on the field, they take operational instructions from the head office, from their regional directors. And certainly you are dealing with human beings, so you are going to have one or two people who may do something differently. But the point I was making is that the parties are also aware of the numbers, total registered. Don't forget that in 2020, we gave the registers for each district to the parties. We did same in 2023. So any party should be able to know the number registered in this particular district. So if we are doing the exhibition and the commission says that, Asante Achim Central, the number is now 60,000, the parties know that, in the last, when we even did the registration in 2023, we had 62. And we've done another registration. Why is the Electoral Commission now saying? And we have all the source documents over there to be able to address
which is what is happening now. What you have just described is what is happening now between you and the other political parties led by the NDC. But you don't seem to accord them the same understanding in your scenario right now.
That's what we have been saying is that the reality is that it is premature for you to make a request for a forensic audit. The reason why it's premature is that the process of cleaning the register has just begun.
Or hasn't it ended now?
No, it hasn't ended. That process has it will only end when we are printing the final voters register. When we finish everything, we print the final voters register. So that process, that auditing process embedded in the law has just been triggered. And we are working on it. So when you ask that the Electoral Commission should do A, B, C, and D, then literally you are telling the Electoral Commission that what the law has provided, just ignore. But what the commission is saying is that...
I don't think they have said what the law has provided.
Oh, no, but literally when you say do forensic audit, what the commission is saying that the audit is embedded in the process. Allow us to finish everything and that all the concerns you are raising, we will address that. And I can assure you, say on authority, that all the concerns have been addressed.
But how can they trust you to do that?
We don't need you to trust us as individuals. Trust the Electoral Commission as an institution. We've done it before.
I mean, it's the same question I'm asking. How can they, including members of the public, trust the Electoral Commission to clean up the register?
No, the EC has that mandate. We exist.
We know you have the mandate. We are only saying
we exist to do that. And the point is that I made the point that the final register will be given to the parties. And you as an individual, you have the right to write to the Electoral Commission through the chairperson that you want to have a copy of the voters register. So the point I'm making is, assuming you know this district or nationally we have this total number, you should be expecting that from the Electoral Commission. So that's why I made the point that we will give the registers to the we will give it back to all the political parties and even ordinary individuals who are interested in having a copy. Commission will make it available to you.
I see.
So you'll be able to compare.
I'm asking about the issue of trust again, because then at that same presentation the NDC made to you, the example you had given that they had mentioned the name and your IT officers had found it.
Yeah.
Yes. They also mentioned that, and they had told us here on TV3 that yes, you had mentioned the name, but the person was supposed to be in the Greater Accra region had been taken to the Volta region.
No, I think that issue will definitely meet with the parties and explain. You know, people do transfers, and when they are doing transfers, they mentioned that they saw the person in 2023, but now they can't see the person in 2024. And that when we told them the person is now in the Volta region, I think precisely Keta, the person has transferred. That's what it actually means. And when I wouldn't be able to know where you voted. For all you know, you have transferred your vote to Kumasi, to Cape Coast, to another place. And when you are doing it, you don't discuss with
so the point that we're making with that is that it's an illegal transfer.
No, it's not an illegal transfer. Okay. What makes it illegal? The law allows for transfer.
Yes, but they are saying that particular name had not transferred their vote to the voter.
These are the reasons why we are saying that NDC should come to the discussion table. Because the commission will give you the evidence. You know, when we give the registers to the parties, we give to the party.
Right.
But when we give to the party, we still work on the register. So what you have seen, the discrepancies you have seen, we continue to work.
When will the final register be
I need to
ready?
check the calendar, but I know we should, in this October, we should start the process of printing the register. And before we will print, we'll give the register to each of the political parties and Ghanaians who are interested in having.
And in your statement, you have said that you are not averse to re-exhibiting the voter register.
Yes.
This is different from your position earlier, that you would re-exhibit, because earlier you had said you will not re-exhibit the...
No, I think in terms of this, the exhibition is in two forms. We have the physical one, where people must go to the polling stations or the exhibition centers to go and check their names.
Yes.
And we have an online one. So per this statement, what we are saying is that, and the online one, we've maintained all along that we are still going to be having it till the elections.
So the statement says that while the commission is not opposed to undertaking another physical exhibition of the corrected PVR in over 40,000 plus exhibition centers, given the time it takes to print and distribute the PVR, 3 to 4 weeks, it will not be feasible to achieve this due to the limited time to the general election. And so the commission intends to implement an online exhibition of the PVR at no cost to registered voters.
Yes.
What form will this take? Is it the USSD system?
I think we'll come up with the form. Now, recently we use, is it the star 751, 511 or so to check, but we'll make a public announcement.
So this will be, if I have my details, I can go and check.
No, you can go and check.
It is not that I would have the register and then go be able to.
No, the register is available virtually. So what you do is that you just enter the code, then your details will come. And once your details come, it will tell you where you are supposed to vote at in that manner.
I see.
So there will be a form of exhibition, but it's not going to be the physical one where people must go to the polling station. And as we speak now, the register is still available virtually.
I see. Do you think the Electoral Commission has lost trust with the public?
No, I don't think so. Because the reason why I don't think so is that in 2020, we did the elections. The domestic observers, including the local media, international observers who came from the African Union, the ECOWAS, European Union, they gave the commission a very massive endorsement of the work we did. The EU, for example, gave the Electoral Commission 95%. The same EU went to other countries in Africa, and you look at the reports, what they wrote about those countries, very, very, per Ghana standards, very, very unacceptable. So we think that at times it depends on where you are getting the information. There are a lot of, you are in the media space, a lot of misinformation, a lot of disinformation, malinformation in the public domain. Because anyone who has engaged us and analyzes the work we do, we have electoral commissions around our continent who come and study what we do. So anyone who takes the time to understand our processes, you realize that what the people are saying is not the case. And we think that we have one of the best institutions in our country when it comes to the electoral Commission. Our processes are completely transparent. Do you know that when we are going to print the ballot papers, all the parties are supposed to send their agents? If you are available to send an agent, it's allowed. When we are transporting the ballot papers to all the regional capitals, Dambai, now our office is in Kwanta, in the Oti region. When we are going to Ho, we are going to Kumase, Sekendi, Takrade, we are going to Goso, we are going to Sekirioso, we are going to Naleregu, we are going to Bogatanga, we are going to Wa, we are going to Damungo, we are going to Tamale, Sunyane, Techiman. When we are going to all these places, Cape Coast, the parties accompany the ballot papers.
I see.
And when the ballot papers get to the regional capitals, they go to the regional police armories. All the parties put their seals.
So, Doc, you're this trustworthy, you're this transparent. What do you stand to lose if you heed to public call that you should subject yourself to an external audit?
No, you know, the reason what the commission is saying is that the law provides for an audit. And the political parties...
Indeed, it does. But you're hiding behind a law that does not also...
We are not hiding.
You're hiding behind a law that is not also opposed to an external audit during the exhibition process. And so what are you telling the Ghanaian people?
Unless we are saying that when we give the final registers to the parties don't have the capacity to know whether the register is the right one or it's not the right one. What the commission is saying is that the law has provided a framework for reaching a final voters register. And that process, so assuming we've done all that process, we've exhausted all that process, and we've given the registers or the register to you as a political party, and you realize that, after the final, still there is a problem, then you can say, hey, the Electoral Commission hasn't done, let's look at, 2020, what happened? When we did the registration, we had about 520 people or so we had their names all right, but we couldn't find their biometrics. We drilled down to their polling stations and we created a manual verification system for them. So the assurance I can give to you, the good people of our great country, is that the Electoral Commission will do whatever is necessary, whatever is proper, to ensure that anyone who is a registered voter, come December 7, 2024, you go to the polling station, your name, your details will be intact. You'll be able to vote. And want to also assure the political parties, one of our main stakeholders, that the final register we'll give to them, it will embody all those who are supposed to be in the voters register. That's what we do for a living. And it's not something we can fail at.
So, Doc, you would agree with me that at this point your electoral calendar is, off the hinges because things happened, in the beginning of the calendar that has changed how you're doing things a little bit. You tell us that...
It's not. This year we front-loaded a number of our activities.
Right.
So you look at 2020, around this time, we have not gotten to where we are this year.
No, but I'm referring to, the original calendar you had come up with.
Yes.
Things have changed.
Things have changed.
Things have, good. So what I'm now saying is that, look, you're telling us that October, the final register should come out.
Yes.
So let's hold you by October.
Yes, by October.
When the final register comes
out. I'll check
up.
the date, yes. There's that date.
Which means you are not sure.
Oh, no,
but it will be in
October. Yes.
When the final register comes out in October, do we get word from the Electoral Commission that is the point where you will subject yourself to an audit?
Oh, no. What the Electoral Commission, what we have maintained is that what we have in our law, the CI 91 especially, is complete.
No, we understand that.
It provides everything.
We understand. And I'm following up on your own explanation you have given to me that had it been that they received the final register and they were making these demands of you, then you would have exhausted the law, the provisions of the law.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So I'm asking, October has come, the final register has been given to the political parties. Will you then subject yourself to an external audit?
No, the final register, once we say the final register, what it means is that it's the final we are going to use for the elections in December. And what the commission is saying, all the problems that have been identified, by the time we produce the final register will be a corrected version of everything, of the problems. So that we know, because it is the work we do, we know that the final will be a corrected documents, so there will be no call
So if you are not subjecting yourself to an external audit now, which a lot of the Ghanaian people are calling for, then when do you plan to do it? If the final register,
a lot of the Ghanaian people
absolutely, it's not just the NDC. We know that the Movement for Change has added word. The scores of people who poured out onto the streets over here. We've heard from Dr. Tamaklo. We've heard from Justice Atuguba on the fact that it's important that you subject yourself to this external audit because, one, it would either affirm all that you have told us today, or perhaps it would also affirm what the NDC is saying, and everybody will have itself worked out. Why can't you do that? Now you're telling me that, listen, the final register is the final register. So when will you subject yourself to an external audit?
The Commission has maintained clearly that a call for forensic audit is premature. And even beyond that, we per our procedures and the laws we are using to do our work, we don't think a forensic audit is necessary. And these are the reasons which we have stated clearly in our response to the NDC. And even beyond the response, what we are saying is that you look at the law provides. So unless you are saying that we should use some extra legal means to be able to do that, we are confident in what the law provides, and we are very that by the time we will give the register again to the political parties, they themselves will look at it. I made an earlier point, unless the parties are saying they don't have the capacity to know whether the register we have given them is the correct one or it's not the correct one. And I know the parties, the main ones, all of them have the capacity. And what the EC is saying is that all the concerns you have, we have addressed them at the appropriate time. It's very likely very soon we are going to meet with the political parties under the umbrella of IPAC. And these explanations will be made very, very clear to the parties. The register is not for the Electoral Commission, it's for the good people of our country. And I think that once you know there is no problem with it, you yourself may not even call for that audit, because the audit is embedded. And it's good you mentioned some people have called for forensic audit. Tell those people to look at CI 91, regulations 23, regulations 24. I don't think maybe they have read. Because if they have read it, they will know that the audit is completely embedded in it.
No, indeed, it is. All I'm saying is that the law is also not opposed to, an external audit. It does not bar an external audit from happening, and we have seen that in the past. So then
in the past, that way.
No, but what is the difference in the situation between now and the audit that was
the commission? There has never been an external audit of the register before.
What was happening in the lead up to the 2016 elections?
No, you check the record, but it wasn't an external audit of the register. I think there was a committee that looked at the concerns expressed by, I think that time it was the MPP. But there was no external audit. So you check the record.
No, I have. And it looked at the register.
I'm speaking to the record.
So what did it look at? I'm also speaking to the record. I thought I knew.
Then maybe check your files very well.
Okay, so what were the concerns it looked at?
I need to clarify very well, but what transpired was that I know one of the parties had similar concerns as the NDC is raising. And the committee was set up headed by the former judge, Justice Crabb, to look at the concerns of the political parties. But there was nothing like an audit of the voters' register.
Is that the case?
There was nothing.
Because I also, based on the facts that I've gathered, indicate that when they had looked at it, they talked about the fact that they felt the voter register was credible.
Was credible.
Yes.
And that's what I'm saying. This is not something we may have to debate.
We'll agree to disagree. Yeah. I'll be right back. Don't go away.
I see, Monsieur Namid 200 Ghana could also sister. Buy in your 5 cities and 40 Ghana. Hey, take one container your 40 to 50 pesos and not 20 Ghana. And at dancing, or look at 30 Ghana. Aday, on my bay money away.
Oh, was our casa, Michel Dean. Sha, Doctor Midi 20 Ghana. Ah, me pay for me 15 Ghana cedi a day. Oma be na woman ya koya na ate yesan bai
hwe enye duane bo nko an ekosoro John Dramani Mahama time Smith 1 bag ne ye 24 Ghana cedis me nko to Smith 1 bag a yesi eye 108 cedis ayon ross ye beton sen it is say wo si dan a Say, and I'll be say, John Dramani Mahama Mama Gia. Yabewo,
Yana Bibian from Wakombe Queen.
I'll come in the end, Queen. You better fire one drink. No people are buying. What dear Yamo, Ankasa,
Media minimum how. Na media, measure my system, Namatua.
And yes, sanity, dear. A year Kufu had any bow mea. Yamia don't say December 7. Drua. You be true, Master said you to buy.
You be true, Ankasa.
She was sitting no more to Abapa. A disacraya Papa Beba Wabrabum. To Abama John Mahamani NDC.
Results.
Thanks for staying with us here on Hot Issues. We're still here with Deputy Chairperson of the Electoral Commission, Dr. Bosman Asari. Doc, I want us to look at the recently concluded ballot order, exercise that was held at the Electoral Commission. I'd like to think that, the Electoral Commission has done some reflections on it, but it looked like you were not prepared for the exercise at all.
No, we were. We were actually prepared, and the same procedure was used in 2020, and we didn't have any issues with it. And come 2024, nothing. If it wasn't broken, why did you want to fix it? So we engaged the parties before we started the process, and we told them we were going by the same procedure. And in the middle, one of the parties raised a very strong objection. So we had to make some changes just to ensure a very peaceful.
True, but Doc, the polythene you used, the polythene bag you used definitely could not have been part of the preparation.
It wasn't, because the parties clamored for it. They said no. No, we had a policy that everything must be very, very transparent. Along the line, one of the parties, I think one of the rep from the NDC side said no. They thought some of the balls, one of the balls was so different. So to be able to ensure the integrity of the process, let's put all of them in an opaque box. And we didn't have any box around, and we thought that, and they themselves suggested that.
Was that pleasant to the site? I mean, looking back.
It wasn't, but in that spare of the time, it was the best thing to do. Because if we had not done that, there was going to be some major disagreements. And we were doing it for the parties and for the good people of our country. Once the parties themselves indicated, initially one of the parties said no, they will not allow. Others said no, they won't. Then we said no. Once we will do this to ensure a peaceful process, why not? So all of them agreed, and we moved on with that particular. So it's a lesson well learned at the commission.
I wonder what lessons you have learned from that.
No, moving forward, 2028, God willing, we are going to do much, much better.
What will much better look like?
Oh, in terms of, this time when we agreed with the parties, we had to change the rules in the middle of the game. So we believe that in future, we should be able to discuss and go through with whatever agreements we would arrive at. And you notice, apart from that, the independent candidates also raised some major concerns. They thought that they were paying 100,000, just like the candidates of the political parties. So why did we do a separate one for the political parties? Then when we finished, we did another one for the independent candidates. So all these are things the commission will discuss them dispassionately as a commission, and we also discuss with our political parties at the IPAC level and civil society to look at ways of improving. Because I think what their actions were generally very, very legitimate, although the tradition has been that you ballot for the parties first. So these are things. And when we finish with the balloting for the main parties, the main parties are 9. And they were contesting for the first to 9. And generally, all of them were fighting if they could get number 1. But there's independent candidates they were battling for. They were only 4, and they were looking at the last number. So they had a 25% chance of getting that, while the major parties were battling, they had a chance of about 11%.
But it also looked like the Electoral Commission wasn't in charge at all.
When you are dealing with the parties, you have to be very, very strategic, very, very tactful. We have 2 main parties, and in many instances, they don't seem to agree. And IPAC is an avenue. When we meet at IPAC, you allow them to air their grievances. And this was an activity we were doing for the parties. Once it got to a point and they were expressing certain strong disagreements and reservations, the thinking of the commission was that, let's allow them to express. Once they did that in the spirit of democracy, allow people to express their views. So we did that, and when they finished, we told them that on the basis of what all of them have said, this is what the commission will be doing. And we did just that. And when we finished, if you listen to the interviews that were granted by all this, they expressed satisfaction with the process.
It didn't look like it. When you go back and you watch the video, it didn't look like the Electoral Commission was being strategic with the parties. It looked like the parties, particularly the NPP, was doing what it wants, and the Electoral Commission could not call its director of elections to order.
No, if I don't know the clip you were, but I was sitting right on the high table, and we noticed that what we told them initially, what we started with, the MPP was generally for it. The NDC too was generally for it. It was in the middle of the activity when we finished with the first. No, the balloting was in two phases. We had the first balloting to pick who will be picking first for the main position on the ballot. So we did that. It was when we finished with that, then the concern came from one of the parties that they thought that the way one of the ballot balls was, it was going to give unfair advantage. So we had to remove that particular ball from the exercise. And they also suggested that in order to ensure the transparency of the process, we needed to put all the balls in an opaque.
And in addition to that, whoever was picking was not supposed to look into.
No, for that that was suggested, but the commission didn't specify that was the requirement.
Well, then how is it transparent if you can look into the box and pick? You look into the bag and pick.
The first phase of the balloting, the first phase you could see from afar, because the box, a certain bowl, very very transparent from every angle. You could see from afar. But in the second one, you couldn't see from afar. And if you watch the clip, I know when they finished the interviews that were granted by all the parties, they expressed satisfaction. I know the media, you always have spins.
There's no spin, because we saw that, there was an agreement that you do not look into.
That one
but you didn't make clear. Hang on, Doc. You didn't make clear that you were not accepting that rule that the parties there were trying to bring. Because if you notice, it was only the NPP and the LPG who looked into the bag. And the commission didn't say anything about it.
So you are saying they were the ones who looked inside?
Yeah, they were the only ones who looked into the bag. The rest adhered to that rule, and then they didn't look into the bag. But you're here telling me that you had not accepted that rule. Why didn't you make it clear then that you can look into the bag?
What we agreed, initially some of the parties had reservations about the use of the opaque. And the commission overruled their views. The MPP, the LPG, and some of them said no. They wanted the transparent bowl. So when we commission overruled on that, they themselves also expressed a lot of
But you didn't say anything about this one in particular. Do you see how it makes it look like you were conniving with the NPP?
Oh no, I think once people say that may be your own adroit interpretation of what happened. Because
you must have heard people say that, not my interpretation.
No, I've not heard people saying that, because it's very clear everything was captured on national TV, and it wasn't possible when you look at. That's why listen to the interviews granted by the MPP, the NDC, and all the other parties that were there. It wasn't possible. The commission cannot. No, we had the first process, and the first process of picking was based on the time you filed your nomination.
Absolutely.
So we went through that. So it wasn't possible. That's why the commission hasn't issued this, because the processes were very, very transparent. All the parties even expressed satisfaction, except that the independent candidates, as I indicated, they were of the view that they thought they should be part.
Do you consider the process that took place transparent?
No, generally very, very transparent. Under the circumstance, we did what we had to do. Because initially, the procedure was that everything was going to be in that transparent bowl. But as soon as the NDC raised the red flag, the commission understood their concerns, and we said no. Once this is what they are saying, for the exercise to move on peacefully, to get the buy-in of all the stakeholders, let's make sure that we listen to the position of the NDC. So that was what was used. Although the MPP, I don't know if you also saw that, the MPP was strongly against that. And I believe the reason why they were strongly against that was that they were going to pick first. But we overruled. They expressed their reservations at the table, which we noticed that.
So it is not the case that the commission is
the commission
connive with the ruling party.
When you look at the job we are doing, we have a mandate. Look at the whole of Ghana, and you are about 7 people. 3 people have been selected to do this for the entire country. So we have a responsibility to ensure that everything is done properly. And when you go out and they are talking about the good things of Ghana, they don't mention party A, party B. They talk about Ghana. So we as an institution, and I don't think you, the media, will even be happy with us when you should hear that we collude with party in terms of ballot position. No.
Doc, thank you for coming.
My pleasure, my pleasure.
Dr. Bosman Asare is Deputy Chairperson of the Electoral Commission. Perhaps he will return for a part 2 of this because there are a lot of electoral issues that need to be spoken about and you educated on. But that'll be all for this edition of Hot Issues. I'm Kemeni Amana. I'll see you again next week. Bye-bye.